Your critics are going to say that this is an elbows down approach, that you're backing down to Trump. What are you gaining by dropping these tariffs?
So the first thing to say is, let's be clear. We have the best deal of anyone in the world right now. We have the lowest tariff rate on average, a little over 5.5% versus that 16% average for the world, and in many cases much higher. We have that confirmed in an executive order of the president a few weeks ago. It's important that we preserve that. It's important that we preserve that while we focus on two things: the strategic sectors, steel, aluminum, autos, lumber, and we focus on the upcoming review and likely changes to CUSMA. So we are matching something the Americans have done here first. Okay. And it's very significant, it's unique, we get the benefit. The second thing is, and I'll take your analogy, and I have played some hockey over the years, and there is a time in a game, in a big game, and this is a big game, when you go hard in the corners, your elbows up. The time in a game where you drop the gloves in the first period and you send a message. And we've done that pretty uniquely in the world. We happen to have the best deal with the Americans right now. I know. But there's also a time in a game where you want the puck, you want a stick handle, you want to pass, you want to put the puck in the net. And we're moving later into the game, and we're at that time in the game. And that's where the engagement is. Thank you.
And the German government says that you're going to Berlin next week. Can you tell us why you're going to Europe and what you're hoping to accomplish there?
I'm very much looking forward to meeting with the Chancellor, members of his cabinet, a number of German businesses next week, next Tuesday. And it's picking up on discussions that we have had since we first met in Rome and in April, subsequently at the G7 and along the way, about how we can deepen our economic and security partnership with Germany, how we can turn the opportunities that exist already under CETA, our free trade agreement with Europe, but also across broader areas, and how we work and develop those. So I have a broader delegation with the Minister of Natural Resources, for example, will be there. The Minister of Defense will be there. The Minister of Industry will come as well, because there's a broad range of areas from critical minerals to energy and defense and security where we are intensifying our discussions with Germany. Many opportunities. As I say, it started in the spring, moves with this meeting, and we have a good partnership. Canada has a good partnership with Germany. It's been built up over the years, but it can be much, much better. And I'm confident that with this Chancellor and the focus of our government, that it will be. Thank you.
Mackenzie Gray, Global.
Good morning, or good afternoon now, Prime Minister. You've dumped the digital services tax. You haven't responded to additional increases in tariffs from the Americans, and now you're removing counter tariffs here with no changes from the U.S. side in terms of how things are going. Why do you think appeasing Donald Trump in this trade war will work for Canada?
Well, the first thing is we're matching what the United States has done, what the President has done. We have the best deal of any country with the United States right now. 85% of our trade is tariff-free. We are taking this step, which doesn't include the strategic sectors, but matches what they have done. It's in the spirit of CUSMA, our free trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico, and it gives a good foundation to build on that. That's the first point. The second is that the President and I had a long conversation yesterday, and we see the opportunity to build on where our relationship already is. There's a host of areas for investment in both our economies, a host of areas on the security side that we can build on, and we intend to advance those discussions as rapidly as possible. So we're in a The foundation is very strong. The opportunity is great, and we want to focus on those opportunities both. And I want to emphasize this. I know it's a little complex, but there is a review of CUSMA coming, that free trade agreement. It's due to happen in the spring. Preparation should start now. We're starting our preparations. We're updating our preparations. I'm sure the other parties will soon as well. But we're not going to wait. We don't want to wait for that process for those strategic sectors. It goes back to the earlier question about, Madame's question about the workers and the businesses in steel and the most affected sectors. We're very focused on those right now, taking a number of measures to support them directly in Canada, including Buy Canada, diversification, other aspects. But of course, part of this is getting to a better balance with the United States, and that's the immediate discussions we're having.
Pretty much every stop during the election, you referenced elbows up and saying that was going to be the strategy you take with the Americans. You also consistently said that Donald Trump was trying to break us so he could own us. Your new argument today is that Canadians should accept basically the best of a bad deal. What's been the change?
Wait. I reject the premise of that question, or your characterization of what I'm saying. We have the best deal with the United States right now. Okay, we have the best deal. Look at the numbers. Our tariff is 5.5%. We have 85% of our goods are free trade. It's not what we used to have. Nobody has a deal with the United States that they used to have. Nobody does. They have fundamentally changed. It's their right. We respect it. They have fundamentally changed their trade policy. They have new objectives. And they haven't just talked about those objectives. They put in place tariffs, and they have signed a series of trade deals, including with the European Union, including with others, that have put those into effect, okay? So we're in a position where we have held out, not signed a deal that we don't agree with or that we don't think is in the best interest of Canadians, but and focused on, and we will remain focused on those strategic sectors to the best interests of Canada first. Of course, America will focus on the best interests of the U.S. But we do so from a position where we're respecting, with this decision, we're respecting our agreement with the United States, and we are matching what they have done. That puts us in a good position for for the next phase of these negotiations.
Rachel Haynes, CTV.
Hi, Prime Minister.
Hi.
Rachel Haynes from CTV. I'd like to ask you a little bit more about what you're saying about this matching the U.S. deal or what U.S. has put on Canada. In fact, it's only matching the goods under CUSMA, but in other areas, we're not matching the U.S. at all. They have 50% tariffs on our steel and aluminum products, but we only have 25% tariffs in return. Are you going to raise those tariffs to match that?
We're not raising those today. We've matched the tariffs on autos, similar structure as the U.S. We do have a difference between our tariff on U.S. steel and our tariff on U.S. aluminum. Those are part of the intensive discussions that we're underway right now.
Is that something that you'd look at in the future? And also,
we will look at. I'll give you three questions. I'll give you a short answer to that, which is that we'll look at everything. We look at our industry both in terms of how we support their retooling, their investment in the industries, liquidity for today, helping their workers, buying Canadian, diversifying markets, but of course trade policy, including with the United States, is part of that. But we're engaged in discussions with the United States about exactly those sectors. And that's what we want to advance to the benefit of our workers and our economy.
And I'll make this extra
Take it.
follow-up
Go quick.
very quickly. You're talking about this putting us in a good position in the next phase, presumably the CUSMA negotiations. But as other people have pointed out, we've already folded on the digital services tax. We're taking away these counter tariffs. How is this a position of strength going into those negotiations?
We're in a position. First off, I'm in the negotiations, so I have a sense of how the negotiations are. This puts us, and directly the conversation the President and I had yesterday, is that we'll be following up in short order, he and I, on the progress on our discussions. So the teams are engaged, re-engaging on this. This helps accelerate that. Look, but it's a negotiation, but there's no guarantees in these things. But the basis of this is we're matching what the United States has done. Okay, we're matching what the United States has done. We're putting ourselves in a position which is consistent with CUSMA, right? And that both clears away an issue with the U.S. The longer it goes on where we're not matching what the U.S. has done. And the U.S., the carve-out, what they call the USMCA carve-out, but effectively is this free trade for 85